Welcome back to EURUSD review, guys. I've not been feeling well, but I'm getting better. I'm gonna start back to normal starting today. I'm gonna go over first EURUSD. We're gonna talk about what we left off on from Wednesday morning. So I'll try to be quick as possible. The last thing I had mentioned was this dip in recovery. Actually, before I get into this, I have been seeing some comments talking about there's a lot of levels and that like it's way too much. Well, the first thing I want to tell everybody is the only levels that you really need to be looking at here are the white and the blue levels. Blue levels are macro major levels. By macro, I mean they're coming back from not just weeks and months, potentially years. Like this level right here was derived, I think, from somewhere around 2022. We haven't been around it for almost 3 years, and we're back at it. And as I've been showing you with evidence the past few months, these levels provide intense support and resistances and targets for price movement. The next thing is these orange levels are strictly really for profit taking, as well as confluence, where we just want to see a price tag something at a minor level and then go up and get into a setup. It kind of gives you a little more confidence that your levels are intact and that you're looking at the right thing in the right way. If you don't even want to put the orange levels, don't. But when I start putting videos up and you don't believe it, just put some of these white levels on and see how price interacts. See what the setups I'm constantly talking about react, and then go from there. So getting back to what I said, I left off Wednesday around this time when I saw a dip in recovery of this level as well as a failed breakdown combination of a low set right here. See how we bounced from 12.15 up to almost 12.28ish, 13-point bounce. I'd consider that a decent low that was set right here, and then we undercut it and then reclaimed it back at 8.15 for level to level. The next thing I had left on that message was we were seeing potentially a second entry, and that entry worked out. As you can see, we back tested this level and went for almost 14, I think almost, let's see, 20 points for the second entry. So 20 points in both times. Obviously this one would have been a little less, maybe 12-17 up to about 18 points because the entry would have been higher. But both times almost 15 plus points provided on a simple setup of a dip in recovery, as well as a failed breakdown for the first setup, and then a second entry where you noticed we dipped below the level and started pushing up. One can enter a second position or add to their position if they think that that's something they want to do. Ideally, I'm not looking to do that. I'm looking to enter the first time around, so I'm not chasing or worried about getting stopped out. Thereafter, we just controlled selled all the way down. You can see some of these levels are mainly, most of these levels are the same. There's a couple alterations made down below here through the week. I really wasn't on the charts as much, just looking for the same setups and trusting that my levels were still decent, not exact maybe, because that's what happens when you don't change them day to day. The levels are constantly changing. Even if it's a few points, it can make a difference, but in reality, most of the time you'll still be able to clearly see the same setups that I'm looking for, which are failed breakdowns where price sets a low and then that low is overtaken. Let me see where I can show you that. So for example, right here, there's a low right here. We undercut it and then we went above and reclaimed it. Second entry provided here, and both entries worked out for good gains. But getting back to what I was talking about, we were selling Wednesday morning all day pretty much in a controlled fashion. There was not much available. There was a failed breakdown right here. You can see the whole cluster of lows here at this shelf, if you want to call it this shelf of lows, the lowest one being around 1180. Let's say these are all about 1183, so about 1185 is where I'd want to go long, which kind of coincides almost with this minor level right here. So somewhere around here was where I'd want to go long, and one can see we went from 1185 up to 1197, 12-point trade, which is awesome, before eventually getting stopped out somewhere down here. I did take that trade Wednesday afternoon, I believe, and then I was stopped out later on 2 o'clock ish, where I think okay, yes, I do recall this now. So I did take a loss here actually. So I thought we were gonna set up. I got greedy. I already made 2 trades for the day and I was going for a third, and I thought this candle right here was about to start a nice fill breakdown. Once again, another cluster, What I should have done is waited for this level to overtake. But that happens. I was not patient. It was a smaller position since I already had built in some profit, but it is what it is. Thereafter, I kind of just took the afternoon off until we got a better setup where we reclaimed this cluster of lows because we were starting to get choppy. This low was tested, 1164.7, right here at 4 o'clock, but since it was an exact test and no dip below, I was not eager to jump back in, especially after just dealing with the loss over here. So moving forward, that was that for Wednesday. Coming into Wednesday evening, we got back to the level I liked. We triggered it around 7 p.m. I wanted some type of pullback, which we got around 7:45, and then we came right back to the level, started pushing up at 8:15. I went long, small position, because I had already a successful day and I took a loss, so I was a little nervous, and that worked out great. Level to level, took my profits, and then just held on to a small position, which ended up working out for more eventually overnight. So then Thursday came around, and then Thursday I woke up around, I think, 8 o'clock, later than usual, but that is what it is. And I noticed we were setting up right here potentially for a failed breakdown of this low. I like the fact that we pushed through it and came back down to the level and then started pushing back up. I took a small entry here, stop loss right here, and that worked out great. Eventually, it provided a second entry around 8:45 for those that missed it, and that continued to work out even better. I did not enter the second entry. I was already in here at this failed breakdown that was setting up when I woke up. Moving forward for Thursday, rest of Thursday was just control selling. We did get a failed breakdown again right here of this low. I did not take it. I was well off where I was. I was looking for this low to get taken out, if anything, and I just eventually had my position get stopped out. I had no position here. Then we got back to this level right here. Now, I wanted a failed breakdown at this level, correct. However, this level above was being very strong. I noticed we got there at 130, and we pretty much just stayed there, bounced off of it again and again. So I was thinking that this was a strong setup, strong level, where levels defending, and then we started pushing up at 315. So I decided to go long here because of the fact that we defended it from 115, arguably from 11:30 in the morning all day until 3 o'clock. So 4 hours of strength showed me that this level, if I got a nice pop off of it, it was a good long opportunity. I got a couple pops that I didn't take. The third one, I said, you know what, let's go for it. That made sense. It worked out well, level to level, from around, I think it was 1176. I sold right above a little bit. It wasn't as much as I like to take, but I didn't want to get greedy, and there's a chance that it could eventually sell off at any point. So I just take most of my profit here and kept a runner. The runner kept on going, and eventually it got taken out Friday morning. I didn't do anything else. Friday afternoon, we finally sold, and I want to show you why we bounce at this level. One can clearly see, this is a 30-minute chart now, that when we sold on Monday of last week, so last Monday, we sold below this level, we back tested it and sold more. We defended it from above, so we rejected it once, then twice here. This is the first rejection, second rejection, third rejection, until we came back up the fourth time and finally pushed through on Tuesday morning. So if we got back to this area, I would call this a back test. This is the back test from below, multiple back tests. This is the break through the resistance, turned into a support now. And when it came down, that's what it did. It acted like a support. How do you long that? Well, first thing, I'm going to go to 5 minutes just so you can see how the price acted. It came down, tested it once at 12:05. Cool. Levels respected. That gives you an idea that you have the right mindset. Another 5-10 minutes pass, and we get back into the level. And right at 12:20, We defended it clearly as a back test. Wonderful. Now I'm interested in taking a long here potentially. What I'd want to see is a little bit more consolidation or a strong pop. We didn't get a strong pop, but we did get a good consolidation. So you can see from 12:05 until 12:35, half an hour we sat there until we popped off of it at 12:40. Boom. Let's go for the long. It's a clear back test. If it's not going to work out for 100 points, that's fine. I just want about 8 to 10 points and then let the trade do its work. So I went long around 11:41 and that worked its way out perfectly in the rest of the afternoon. Let's go back to a 15. So from 11:41 and we hit about 11:55, I got a good 14 points. I wanted to get to this level. When we got close, I took my profits and held on to a small position. That's it for the past few days. Right now, I'd say we have an active back test going. I'm gonna go to a 30-minute. Now, what I'd love to see potentially is a flush of this low at the open to offer another entry, a failed breakdown. Now, this low right here was 11:33. This was 11:31.11. So we did not get below this low right here. If I go to a 5-minute, you'll be able to see that low more clearly. Bear with me 1 second, please. See these clusters? Oh, hold on. Come on. See these cluster of lows? See how we went down, set a low, popped from 11:30 up to 11:48, 18-point low. See how we popped from 11:32. Excuse me, I guess we'll use this low right here from 11:30 again up to 11:46, 16-point low. I'd call these two clear lows a cluster of lows. I'm going to highlight them for you so you know what I'm talking about. So I'll go back to a 15-minute. Give me a second here. Reset the view. Let's go to a 30-minute, make it a little tighter. So we did not lose these lows. You can't see this low on a 30-minute, but it's there. It's usable if you wanted to. But I can clearly see how we sold up from here to here before bouncing. That sets the low right here. So long story short, the first thing I'm looking for right now is a failed breakdown of this low, as well as kind of a failed breakdown of this cluster as well. But realistically, I don't need to use this because they're very similar. I can just use this for reference. So the setup would be potentially like this. Give me a second. Price can do whatever it wants. Let's say it goes up here, gets rejected right here. And that's because see how there's a shelf right here? That could be a resistance. This is a little bit below it, but one can still assume it's this general area from here because there's a low right here as well. So this low and up to these lows is a general zone. So I do think this could be like a strong resistance zone, and then I would love to see like price just eventually make its way down, maybe even tag this right here before going back up, and I'd love to take a failed breakdown of this low. That's the first setup I'm looking for in Euro USD. Thank you so much for your patience. Let's get back to making money. Have a great day, guys.